Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the channel, and if you're new here, a warm welcome to the community. Today, we have something incredibly exciting planned for you, so make yourself comfortable, grab a snack, and enjoy the experience. We're going to explore the Brave Warrior of Dahomey, Agoodjie, and believe me, you'll want to stay till the end. As always, if you enjoy engaging stories and fresh content, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss what's coming up next. Now, sit back, unwind, and let's get started.
The Call of Nawi. The night sky spread like a dark blanket over the kingdom of Dahomey, its stars twinkling like the eyes of ancestors watching over their descendants. The village of Agoodjie, the center of the Dahomey Empire, buzzed with activity even in the late hours. Flames flickered brightly, casting dancing shadows on the walls of the great palace, where King Gizo ruled with wisdom and strength. In a modest hut near the royal grounds, a young girl named Nawi sat cross-legged, her sharp eyes observing her mother as she prepared herbs for the ill. Nawi had always been different from the other girls, bold, fearless, and restless, with a deep desire to wield a weapon instead of a broom. "Nawi, come assist me," her mother called, but the girl remained immersed in her thoughts. She envisioned battle drums, warriors dressed in red and gold, and herself among them, her spear held high. Her father, a respected hunter, frequently reminded her, "A woman's place is in the home, Nawi." Yet the tales of the Agoodjie, the elite female warriors of Dahomey, ignited a spirit of rebellion within her. One pivotal morning, the royal messengers entered the village square, their voices reverberating through the streets. By the decree of King Gizo, the Agoodjie seek new warriors to join their ranks. Only the strong, the brave, and the willing may step forward. Nawi's heart raced. This was her opportunity. Before her parents could intervene, she advanced. The elder warriors scrutinized her. One, a tall and battle-scarred woman named Commander Agoodjie, approached. "You are young," she noted. "Why do you want to join?" "I was meant for battle," Nawi proclaimed. Agoodjie smirked. "Then let the gods determine your fate." Nawi and the other recruits were taken to the palace, where their training was set to commence. The trial of fire. The Agoodjie's training was grueling. From dawn to dusk, Nawi and the other recruits were pushed to their limits. They learned to fight with spears, machetes, and bare hands. They ran barefoot across thorny paths, their skin torn but their determination unbroken. Agoodjie observed them closely, urging them to surpass their boundaries. Many stumbled, but Nawi would not falter. One evening, the recruits gathered around a large fire. Their final challenge loomed ahead, the trial of fire. They would confront seasoned warriors in battle. Defeat meant dismissal. Victory signified initiation. Nawi's opponent was an experienced warrior named Zahara. The older woman circled her, eyes sharp and watchful. "You possess spirit, but spirit alone does not secure victories," Zahara cautioned. The duel commenced. Nawi evaded a quick strike, retaliating with a punch of her own. Zahara grinned. "Well done." However, experience triumphed over youth. With a swift kick, Zahara knocked Nawi to the ground. The audience gasped. "Do you surrender?" Zahara inquired. Nawi felt her body throb, yet her spirit was fierce. She leaped back up, avoided Zahara's next attack, and used her momentum to throw her opponent off balance. In an instant, she had the tip of her spear at Zahara's throat. Silence enveloped the arena. Then Agoodjie's voice broke through. "She is now one of us." The warriors erupted in cheers. That evening, Nawi faced the king. He placed his hand on her shoulder. "You are Agoodjie." Blood oath of the Agoodjie. The initiation ceremony occurred beneath the sacred baobab tree, its ancient roots twisting like the earth's veins. The newly accepted warriors, including Nawi, formed a circle, their faces lit by the dancing flames of ceremonial torches. Commander Agoodjie stepped forward, brandishing a shining ceremonial blade. "The Agoodjie are not merely fighters. We are the guardians of Dahomey, the daughters of battle," she proclaimed. One by one, the recruits made a shallow cut across their palms, allowing a drop of blood to fall onto the sacred soil of Dahomey. When it was Nawi's turn, she remained resolute as the blade grazed her skin. King Gizo himself stood in front of them. "From this night onward, you are united by honor, strength, and sacrifice." You will fight, not for yourselves but for your people, he declared. Naui tightened her fists. The sharpness of the wound was insignificant compared to the fire igniting her spirit. She was no longer simply a girl. She had become Agoodjie. The first battle. Weeks turned into months as Naui and her fellow warriors trained with unwavering dedication. Their bodies hardened by struggle, their minds honed by discipline. One morning, the war drums resounded across Agoodjie. Scouts returned with critical news. Slave raiders from Oyo were advancing toward Dahomey's border. The Agoodjie were called to action. Commander Ikundeo spoke to them. The Oyo intend to capture our people as slaves. We will meet them with war instead. The warriors adorned their faces with war paint. Naui's heart raced as she held her spear tightly, her fingers gripping the leather-wrapped shaft. As they neared the battlefield, the scent of wet earth and burning wood filled the air. The enemy stood ready in formation, their weapons shimmering. The Agoodjie did not waver. Agoodjie! Ikundeo bellowed, and they charged forward. The battlefield erupted into a chaos of steel and shouts. Naui fought with the intensity of a spirit possessed, her spear striking its target time after time. She deflected an enemy's sword, twisted, and drove her blade into his side. Blood spattered across her arms, but she pressed on. A massive Oyo warrior swung his club in her direction. Naui ducked just in time, feeling the rush of air, as the weapon barely missed her. She retaliated with a quick strike, her blade slicing into his leg. The man cried out in agony before another Agoodjie ended his life. The clash continued, yet the Agoodjie pressed on like an unstoppable wave. The adversary, overwhelmed by the intensity of the Dahomey fighters, began to withdraw. Victory was claimed by Dahomey. As dusk fell, Naui found herself among her sisters, panting and triumphant. A warrior's burden. Upon returning to the palace, the warriors were met with cheers and songs of celebration. However, Naui felt a heaviness in her heart. She had secured her first victory, but she had also taken her first life. That evening, seated by the fire, she was beside Zahara, the seasoned warrior she had battled during her training. You fought valiantly, Zahara remarked, her eyes firm. Naui paused. But I didn't anticipate feeling like this. Zahara acknowledged her with a nod. Taking a life is never easy, even for fighters. But we engage in battle, so that others can remain safe. We guard those who are unable to defend themselves. Naui gazed into the flames, allowing the weight of those words to sink in. She had made her choice, and she would continue on this path, no matter how burdensome it became. The king's decree. Days following their triumph, the Agoodjie warriors stood before King Gizo in the expansive courtyard of Agoodjie's palace. The aroma of burning incense permeated the air as drums beat a slow, rhythmic tempo. The citizens of Dahomey gathered, eager to pay tribute to their soldiers. King Gizo rose from his throne, his tone authoritative yet laced with pride. You have protected Dahomey with integrity. The enemy has fled in the face of your strength. But war never rests, and neither shall we. The Oyo will strike back. We must be prepared. The crowd erupted in cheers. However, among the warriors, Naui sensed a deeper significance in the king's message. War was not merely a single fight. It was an ongoing struggle. Commander Ikundeo turned towards them. Get ready. We march at sunrise. Shadows in the jungle. Prior to dawn, the Agoodjie warriors navigated the dense jungle quietly. Their objective was straightforward. Take out an Oyo war camp before they had the chance to strike again. The forest buzzed with activity. Crickets chirped, distant howls echoed, and unseen creatures rustled nearby. Naui held her spear firmly, her senses heightened. Suddenly, Ikundeo raised her hand, signaling the group to stop. In the distance, the faint glow of torches flickered. The enemy was near. Zahara whispered. We will launch our attack from 3 angles. Leave no one alive. Naui's heart raced, but she composed herself. She was Agoodjie. With a sharp whistle, the warriors erupted from the underbrush like avenging spirits. The Oyo warriors had hardly any time to react. Naui struck quickly, her spear piercing flesh. Alarmed cries echoed through the camp, but the Agoodjie showed no mercy. Amidst the turmoil, Naui locked eyes with an Oyo warrior, a boy who looked to be only a few years older than herself. He faltered, fear evident in his gaze. For a brief moment, she hesitated as well. A blade glinted toward her. Instinct kicked in. She parried and drove her spear forward. The boy fell. Panting, she glanced around. The fight was over. The Oyo lay defeated. But as Nawi looked down at the fallen boy, an unfamiliar emotion stirred within her. Was this really a victory? The ghosts of war. Back in Agoodjie, the sounds of celebration were loud. Yet inside Nawi's heart, there was only stillness. She sat by the river, gazing at her reflection in the water. The boy's face lingered in her mind. Feeling regret? She turned to see Zahara standing behind her. Nawi sighed. He was merely a boy. Just my age. Zahara settled next to her. In war, age is irrelevant. He would have taken your life without a second thought if the roles were reversed. But I hesitated. Zahara smiled softly. That shows you still possess your humanity. They lingered in silence for a while. Then Zahara spoke again. The Agoodjie do not fight for honor. We fight for Dahomey, for those who cannot defend themselves. Should we choose not to resist, others will endure hardship. Nawi met her gaze with understanding. She recognized at that moment that true strength lies not in the absence of fear, but in conquering it. She rose to her feet. Tomorrow, I will train more intensely. Zahara gave a nod in agreement. This is the way of a genuine warrior. The Queen's call. Weeks later, Nawi received a summons to the palace, not from the king, but from Queen Hangbi, the formidable matriarch of Dahomey. Queen Hangbi was legendary, a former warrior turned protector of the kingdom's legacy. She scrutinized Nawi with keen eyes. I have observed you, the queen stated. You fight adeptly, yet your heart is troubled. Nawi hesitated for a moment. My only desire is to serve Dahomey, my queen. The queen acknowledged her with a nod. Then you must recognize that warfare encompasses more than mere bloodshed. A true warrior must also possess wisdom. A conflict is approaching that will challenge both your might and your spirit. Nawi frowned with concern. What conflict? The queen's demeanor shifted darkly. The Oyo are not our sole adversaries. There are murmurs of foreign men with pale skin and peculiar weapons. They arrive from beyond the sea, and they aim to alter our lands permanently. Nawi's breath hitched in her throat. She had heard tales of these invaders, Europeans, who came by ship, trading weapons for slaves. This conflict will be different from any before, the queen cautioned. Are you prepared? Nawi clenched her fists tightly. She had no other option. I am Agoodjie. I am prepared. The arrival of the invaders. The skies above Agoodjie grew dark with gathering storm clouds. It was an omen, the elders whispered. A sign of the impending dangers. The following morning, scouts returned with urgent word. The foreigners had landed at Wida, the coastal trading port of Dahomey. Unlike the Oyo raiders, these men approached not with the sounds of war drums, but with gifts and promises. King Gizo called the Agoodjie to the palace. Nawi positioned herself alongside her sisters, spear ready, as a royal advisor spoke to them. The white men arrived with strange weapons, seeking gold, spices, and slaves, the advisor conveyed somberly. Quiet murmurs flowed among the warriors. Dahomey had always been strong, but the entering of these foreign men posed a threat to change everything. Commander Ikandeo maintained a stoic expression. Shall we confront them? The king sighed deeply. For now we will listen, but be prepared. Nawi tightened her hold on her weapon. Something deep within her heart warned that merely listening would not suffice. The poison promise. The following day, the Agoodjie fighters journeyed with the king to Wida. The port was alive with activity, but the massive foreign ship looming over the shoreline was something Nawi had never encountered before. The newcomers, light-skinned men in unusual attire, advanced, their leader bowing slightly to the king. He spoke in a tongue Nawi couldn't comprehend, but a translator quickly followed suit. We come in peace, the foreigner stated. We bring gifts, trade, prosperity for your magnificent kingdom. Their wares were showcased: mirrors, rifles, metal implements. Yet their gazes bore something else. Something sinister. Nawi felt a knot form in her stomach as she observed how they regarded the seized Oyo captives. Like livestock. King Gizo's voice was authoritative. Dahomey does not submit to outsiders. The foreigner smiled, though his eyes remained icy. Then let us engage in partnership. Nawi watched as her king and the strangers entered a grand hall. She sensed that whatever transpired next would forever alter Dahomey. The secret council. That evening, a clandestine council convened in the palace. The Agoodjie stood vigilant while the king met with his most trusted advisors. Nawi listened intently from the shadows. The foreigners desire slaves in exchange for weaponry, one elder murmured. Another responded, with their firearms, we could emerge as the most powerful kingdom in West Africa. But at what price? Zahara, the seasoned warrior, interjected. Are we to barter our own people? Silence enveloped the room. King Gizo's expression was inscrutable. We have battled for our existence. If we decline, they may turn against us. Nawi's blood surged with anger. Was this the purpose of their warrior status? To defend the land, only to witness it being traded away bit by bit? She stepped closer. We don't require their weapons. We are the weapons. Commander Ikundeo shot her a piercing glance, but the king regarded her thoughtfully. The Agoodjie are devoted to Dahomey, Gizo ultimately stated. And if war arises, we shall fight. The outcome had yet to be determined, but Nawi sensed it. Something had changed. A tempest was approaching. The betrayal. As days passed, the atmosphere crackled with tension. The foreigners lingered in Wida, their eyes ever watchful. One night, an urgent summons echoed through Agoodjie. A nearby village had been assaulted, not by Oyo raiders, but by pale-skinned men wielding rifles. The Agoodjie were called forth immediately. Nawi and her sisters galloped through the night, their torches illuminating the route. Upon arrival, the village lay in ruins. Homes smoldered, families mourned, and the earth was stained with blood. An elderly woman grasped Nawi's arm. They took our sons, our daughters, loaded them onto their massive ship. Fury ignited in Nawi's heart. The foreigners hadn't come for trade. They had come for conflict. Commander Ikundeo faced the warriors. We ride for Wida. The slavers will pay. The Agoodjie erupted with their battle cry. The pursuit had commenced. The siege of Wida. The Agoodjie fighters surged through the jungle like a relentless wave of anger. The shouts of the abducted villagers resonated in their minds, igniting their fury. As they approached Wida, Nawi's keen eyes spotted the flickering torches along the coast. The foreign vessel remained, its enormous silhouette towering in the moonlight. Commander Ikundeo raised her hand, signaling for quiet. Tonight, we will strike like shadows in the night. Show no mercy. Nawi tightened her grip on her spear, her heartbeat steady. This was more than just a fight. It was retribution. They advanced swiftly, navigating through the darkness of the slave pens. The air was thick with the scent of salt and anguish. The captives, Dahomeans, Yorubas, and even children, were shackled together, their expressions vacant with dread. Nawi's heart ached. They would not be forsaken. A foreign guard turned, catching sight of them. He scarcely had time to yell before Zahara's dagger silenced him. Then chaos erupted. The Agoodjie descended upon the slavers like a tempest. Gunfire rang out, but the warriors were quicker. Nawi evaded a bullet, her spear striking true in a man's chest. She yanked it free and whirled, hitting another. The ship's ramp fell open. More slavers rushed out, brandishing swords and guns. But they stood no chance against the wrath of the Agoodjie. Commander Ikundeo commanded, "Release the captives. Set the ship ablaze." Nawi dashed to the cages, slashing through the bindings of a young girl. "Flee, little one. You are free now." The girl's eyes, once clouded with terror, now sparkled with hope. As the last shackles dropped, Zahara ignited the sails of the slave ship. The flames surged high, consuming the vessel that had taken so many lives. The defeated slavers attempted to escape into the jungle, yet the Agoodjie showed no mercy. By dawn the fight was over. The ship lay in charred ruins. The captives were safe, and Dahomey had declared its resolve. A warrior's reckoning. Back in Agoodjie, the Agoodjie were celebrated as champions. However, the festivities were short-lived. War was still on the horizon. Nawi found herself once again before King Gizo. "The foreigners will not let this go," she warned. The king agreed, his expression grave. "They will come back stronger. We must prepare." Commander Ikundeo declared firmly. "The Agoodjie will also grow stronger." That evening, as Nawi sat by the fire, Zahara placed a hand on her shoulder. You have grown beyond just a warrior, Nawi. You have become a beacon. Nawi locked eyes with her opponent. It dawned on her now. This conflict was merely the start. With the stars gleaming above, she pledged to fight. Not solely for Dahomey, but for the liberation of all those unable to defend themselves. The Agoodjie were more than just fighters, they were guardians. The final stand. As months went by, Dahomey prepared for what was unavoidable. The foreign aggressors would not overlook the Agoodjie's bravery. Scouts reported the return of armed vessels, carrying troops, artillery, and armaments unlike anything the warriors had encountered before. King Gizo called his council together. This conflict will determine our kingdom's destiny. Commander Ikundeo bowed before him. The Agoodjie will continue to battle until our last breath. The king scanned the warriors, pride resonating in his voice. Let it be known, Dahomey yields to no one. At dawn, the Agoodjie took their stand along the coast. The enemy ships approached, their cannons directed towards the land. Nawi tightened her hold on her spear. She had transformed from a mere fighter into a leader, a beacon of resistance. The first cannon fired, signaling the start of the battle. Gunfire rang out, but the Agoodjie moved like phantoms, darting skillfully between bullets and striking accurately. Nawi led the assault, her spear hitting its target time and again. The foreign soldiers, despite their weaponry, were caught off guard by the wrath of Dahomey. They stumbled, and when the warriors recognized their vulnerability, they surged forward. As the sun climbed higher, the enemy ships went up in flames. The remaining soldiers retreated to their vessels, defeated. Dahomey had emerged victorious. The legacy of the Agoodjie. The achievement was celebrated throughout the realm. Yet the Agoodjie recognized that the world was evolving. Nawi faced the king, her battle-worn armor a testament to the fight. They will return. Perhaps not today, perhaps not tomorrow. But eventually. King Gizo responded with a grave nod. Then let them encounter us united. Years rolled by, and the tale of the Agoodjie expanded. They became both feared and honored, and their stories were immortalized in music and folklore. Nawi, now a leader, prepared the next wave of fighters. She educated them not only in combat, but also in safeguarding others, standing for those who were defenseless. Observing a new recruit hurl her first spear, she felt a sense of pride. The essence of Dahomey would endure. The Agoodjie represented more than just fighters. They embodied the soul of a nation, the warrior's song. Many generations later, while the world transformed, the story of the Agoodjie persisted. Their bravery fueled uprisings. Their legacy continued in history, and their spirits resonated in the hearts of all who refused to be defeated. Nawi's legacy was everlasting, and in the soft murmurs of the breeze, in the rhythm of the war drums, the Agoodjie continued to advance. The end.
Thank you for watching till the end. If you found this video helpful and enjoyable, please remember to hit the like button as it really supports the channel. Also, if you're new or haven't already, make sure to subscribe and enable notifications. Until next time, take care and keep exploring.